So, mindfulness of feeling is a second foundation. We all feel all the time, right? You feel yourself, hopefully. So let's learn about feeling. How it doesn't come alive by itself. A reason for that, like I mentioned earlier, Buddhism deal with causation, law of causation. So it comes through the sixth sense sphere, or sixth sense organ, eye, nose, tongue, body, and mind, like Reverend Dhammaruchi has mentioned. And it's specific organ. Eyes to see, ears to hear, nose to smell, tongue with the taste, and body contact with the touch, and mind with the thoughts. So, sixth sense organ. In the West, we have five, because physicists would say mind is not tangible, so they omit that. But no, in the East, mind is very important. It's the key to everything. So the sixth sense organ is the most important one. And now that they learn quantum physics, mass and energy can be interchanged. Now they start to be interested in the mind. Is that enough with the subject and object to understand? It doesn't. Like we learn in medical school, or in general, you public private, see this kind of thing. Your eyes receive sight, and the light go to with rhodopsin to the retina and go crisscross. Some stay on the same side through optic tract to the visual cortex in the back of your brain. But that's all. It's not knowing. You know, you just see the image back there. It's transmit the image there. Buddha said you need another part, very important, which is the mind. Or it's the same as consciousness, or the slang term is a heart, or jai in Thai, or mano in the Pali. And the basic mind called alaya vinyana, or repository consciousness, or resting mind, like you're in deep sleep. You don't know anything, in deep, like you fall asleep 3 hours. What did he talk about? You don't know. So this is called resting mind, pavanka citta, if you want to learn more. But when it's activated, now it's called panchattvara vacha citta. That means the mind that corresponding to the eyes, called eye consciousness, the ears, ear consciousness, nasal consciousness, tongue consciousness, and body consciousness. Like I said earlier, you cannot use your ear consciousness to see, and you cannot use your eye consciousness to hear. It has to be very specific. Okay, just like the same pathway. You cannot use different pathway to see it. And the mind is important. They don't have any exposure outside, but that they know everything. Very sneaky, because everyone has to report to them to understand mind consciousness, especially your thought that you don't always see. You don't catch it, then you run into trouble. Sometimes for days until you realize, oh, I don't have to think about him, he's dead last year. The money he owes is forgiven. Okay. It's called activated mind or interactive mind. We teach it in Pali. We teach it. So we need 18 elements. Each one is three six sense organ would be 18, right? Subject, object, and the consciousness. So yeah, we have delicious food here. Biscuit with nice butter and jelly, topped with a lot of cream, with a little chocolate or coffee on top. So it hit the amygdala in your brain. You report that right away. Begin there. Amygdala is to deal with emotional memory. People have PTSD, like post-traumatic stress syndrome, like Vietnam War veterans. Their amygdala shrink because they want to forget about it. They erase it out. Amazingly, it has effect physically, and then it transmits to the nucleus accumbens, which is the rewarding center. Voila, happy, climax. Okay, climax not always nasty. Okay, like Omar Sharif, you interview. He said, "I could pay a million each movie," and then he says, "All gone. My stable, my big house, mansion, they're all gone because he had to gambling." And he said, "Every time I play, it had to top the last climax." You understand what I'm saying? Had to top that. So you memorize that in the reward center. It's the hippocampus, memory of liking, sensual desire in the hippocampus after they hit the nucleus accumbens. So we learn medical school, right? You'll remember what it is, nucleus accumbens is the reward center. Now hippocampus, the main memory for everything. It's a junction, like you want to pull up memory, just pull it through there. And then disliking also hit there, something you hate. You don't want to run to him, you run away. So next it had craving into the frontal cortex. Frontal cortex be about your thoughts all the time. So you have impulse, craving. Craving is what? The second noble truth. Craving with sensual desire, liking or disliking. So you may think feeling is nothing, but we thrive on feelings. In this world, eyes, we have in the film industry, $38 billion globally in 2 years ago. And we have like 4.6 million cones we deal with red, green, and blue color vision. And 92 million rod deal with black and white, sharpness, and so on. And your ears, music industry, 17.2 billion in the US only. And we have like 20,000 hair cells, okay, in the ear canal, okay, in the inner ear, not just the outer ear. It went to after malleus incrustatus and go through the hearing organ there. And also stabilizer, which is not dealing here. So you can see how loud. And here, the nose, like fragrance industry, more than movies. Okay, 48 billion globally, 2016. Why it's important? Scientists know it's very important because two persons here, Linda Buck and Richard Evans, they got Nobel Prize in 2004. Why? Because he discovered receptor, about 1,000 receptor, different type of receptor, 1,000 genes. Each one just knows a specific order, okay? And they discovered that. And turn out we have at least 6 million receptor in your nose. We can differentiate 1 trillion orders to this 1,000 genes, okay? And then dog has 300 millions. That's why they're much sharper. Okay? 50 times. You got dog nose, you're very good. Hopefully not. No, I want that. Tongue. What about tongue? 5.75 trillion. Food, just US alone, because we try on food, right? Food industry. A few years ago. And it turned out the tongue has, what was it? 4,000 taste buds. That the pad thai trigger on all 5 of these: sweet, sour, salt, bitter, and umami. Great taste. Pad thai reached that point. There was no pad thai. You know, I sell a lot. And then bodily contact, massage is coming up very strong. $16 billion. Okay, US alone, last year. And we have like at least 6 types of receptor, plus the nerve ending, bad nerve ending, the 7th one. We deal with touch, pressure, hot, cold, and pain. Okay, it's protected there. What about the mind? Mind doesn't have receptor, but it causes a lot of problem. Just mental illness, $113 billion. That was 6-7 years ago. I don't know how much this is now, much more, I'm sure. So just to point out how the feeling play with you all the time. This is how it arises. We have lied, we have thoughts, ignorance, don't see the truth, cause mental impulse, which tainted your mind, consciousness, and generates hologram, imagination. So your 6 senses is tainted, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Contact, feel all corrupted. Craving, clinging, becoming. Birth into your thoughts, and aging, ripening of your thoughts. If you don't see it, because you're not having mindful awareness, that's how you generate ego, I. If you have awareness, mindful awareness, it tore down the wall. It's all gone. I disappear. This cycle is gone. You see selflessness. Wow. Ultimate peace and happiness. The unconditioned. You cannot condition those people anymore. You see what's going on. So again, coming back to a person has 5 aspects: form, body, feeling, mind, perception, impulse, and consciousness, the mind. So body and mind, these are mental activities that cause you problem. Protect you also cause you problem. You generate this self-natural hologram I mentioned. And the Buddha said, to be born is suffering, to age is suffering, to die is suffering. Depart from your loved one, suffering. Didn't get what you want, suffering. Got what you don't want, suffering. Physical, mental ailment is suffering. Grief, sorrow, lamentation, despair, suffering. He said, in short, the 5 aggregates. These 5 of clinging as self, are suffering. Even each one of them, also you cling to it. Like, oh, my hair turned gray. I got, crow foot in my eyes. I don't want that. So it's all clinging. You don't accept it. That's the first noble truth. Okay. So, if you see the truth, the 3 universal mind, impermanence, imperfection, selflessness, and there is no true permanent self there, no being, no person, no self, no you or me. Just build up in your brain. So over 100 years, neuroscientists or scientists try to look for where's yourself located in your brain or in your body. Haven't found it yet, and we'll never find it. That's how the Buddha said, with all those information, you generate the world like this, in this body and mind. So the Buddha said, I define the world, which is basically suffering, and up there. Cause of the world, the end of the world, and the path to end the world. in this body, 6 foot tall, and later on they add 1 foot wide too. And equipped with this mind and perception, you need the mind to perceive through the information of the feeling that you perceive. In this, basically, the 5 aggregates of clinging and suffering. And regenerate this self-image hologram, nama rupa, after it tainted your mind or consciousness, you generate this self-image hologram. And you become your thoughts, and you're born into your thoughts. So you need this mindful awareness to help to weed out this thing. What is mindfulness? You see a lot of people talk about this day. This is from the last year talk. I got 2 more books on them, or journals. Just to go to Sam Roy, to see so many. So mindfulness is paying attention to the present moment with attention, and letting go of judgment as if your life is depending on it. John Kabat-Zinn say that. But when you say about mindfulness, in fact there's 2 components in there. One is mindfulness, self-recollection, self-remembrance. Like Jim Comey, when Trump called him up to the Trump Tower, they talked seriously about, hey, go easy on General Finch. Okay, he come down to his car, he started to throttle down. He was very mindful. He recollect everything, self-remembrance. And he knows something is brewing. So he have clear comprehension. Okay, conscious awareness, full awareness. He throttled down, make a memo, and put it unclassified, very clever. If you put classified, what happened? Can't use it. You put it unclassified, so it becomes his reference. He knows something is brewing. So that's an example of mindful awareness. The 2 things, okay? Awareness is about immediate, fresh feel, like circle your finger, rubbing, open and close your hand, something like that. So these are the virtue of great benefit, mindfulness and self-awareness. Just to reiterate, say right mindfulness, like in the Noble Eightfold Path, is basically pure perception, choiceless awareness, indiscriminate awareness, unbiased perception, perceived without passion or emotion, non-judgmental knowing, or unknowing knowing. What are you talking about? Unknowing knowing. Basically, it's known without thoughts, without biased thoughts. No bias. Perceived with wisdom, without problem. In what you expose to those feelings, to your eye, nose, tongue, body, and mind. To reiterate, what is mindfulness? It's retrieve and capture the phenomena. Like I say, I wonder, they talk about this thing, object. I say, it's right here. I retrieve it. And then you investigate with the self-awareness. Self-awareness. Like you go through a line, PSA, first they line you up like this. That's mindfulness. But then when comes self-awareness, they really investigate you. Put you through X-ray machine, like you took your belt off, your shoe off. What's in the left in there? Everything out. Look under the monitor, scrutinize you. You could be a terrorist. What is that liquid there? Give it to me. That look like sake. That's good. Give it. Haven't been opened yet. One of them got my sake in the bottom of my backpack. I couldn't find it. And she was laughing, going back to her office. She was smiling all the way back. So that's how it works. 4 foundations. This is from 4. And compared to the scientific finding, when you're exposed to an object, you contact your brain, perceive that, and interpret it. And next it does, it interprets as self. See, the Buddha said it worked to 6 sense sphere I mentioned, eye, nose, tongue, body, and mind. With the corresponding consciousness, contact, feeling, pure contact, pure feeling, pure perception, and then biased perception, craving, disturbing thought, and obsessive thoughts. Sometimes you don't need another purse or another pair of shoes. Somehow it follows you home. This obsessive thoughts. So that's how your bias came in. They call ITAP, a self-measured. It turned out, like I said, the optic tract, I show you the visual cortex here. There's a feedback loop, 5 times stronger, back to your the junction there, to your hippocampus area, and so on, the thalamus, the advanced station junction. It gives you the emotion and so on, the self-concept. So that Professor Damasio, he used to be head of neurology at U of I, he moved to USC now, in the Youth Mind Consciousness Center at USC. He said, in parallel to generating mental pattern from an object, the brain also generates a sense of self in the act of knowing. Same, like, is the way we react to environment, we generate. You grab it and say, no, that's mine. You have a recorder, that's mine. See, you have the sense of self acting out right away. But the Buddha said, no, it's two-step, it's not parallel, it's sequential. You see that? Pure perception and bias perception. As a result of craving, with sensual desire, liking and disliking, which is what? Second noble truth, right? So he said, if you have mindful awareness, you can cut this. Pure perception, okay? So that's third noble truth, when you get rid of self or ego. Coming back to this. So you basically, you look at this person, your 5 aspects of life, I tell you, body, feeling, perception, thought, formation, consciousness. You perceive originally, passively, a touch of cold or hot. I turn the air down to 72, you can feel the coolness, right? You feel it? You feel perception, okay? Passive, neutral. In Pali, it's called Sava Samvedana. You perceive the feeling with pure perception. It's a perceptual processing. But then you generate this serially into active and biased perception with conceptual processing. I like this. Cool. Give me more. Okay, I can live with this. Not eat outside, so on. So that's the neuroscientists also saw the difference. Perception and biased perception. This is pure perception. It perceives, like say, those vision in the air and interpret here, supratemporal gyrus. The brain perceives, processes different pathway. Perceptual processing based on physical features, like color, shape, motion, and so on. Conceptual processing emphasizes the meaning. It gives meaning to middle and inferior temporal gyrus and frontal lobe, again, your thoughts. When you have pure perception, you only use 0.5 to 1% of your brain energy. Brain energy is about 20% of your body expenditure of all energy. So when you have conceptual processing, 60 to 80% of your brain energy wasted. Like sometimes you quarrel with your spouse, haven't lifted any finger, but how come you're so drained? 80% are gone here, you know. Mind is activated. Been working out 25 years, but resting mind, activated mind from the previous mind. It activated, like say, by sight. It ends up with resting and into the sense sphere, like your eyes, with the corresponding eye consciousness and so on. And you're receiving into it and investigate and then interpret it, determining, and then you indulge it in potion. 7 mind moment. It's been worked out, and then memorize the 2 last steps. 17 mind moment in one flash of the second or so. A thought cycle is about 150 milliseconds, or 200 at the most. We'll go to that later. So this is resting mind, activate mind. Just to show a sample, you see a flower, lotus, it caught on to your eye consciousness, your eye system. And then it kind of activates the back of your visual cortex, visual center. That's what we learn in medical school. That's it. More now. See? It transfers, conveys from the back of your brain to interpret here and here and that's it. In the supratemporal gyrus. Been worked out already in Buddhism 2,600 years ago. So with shape, motion, color, you can tell it's a bird or flowers. And then you give the value. When you determine it, give value. Then you indulge conceptual processing here instead of pure perception. And you end up with this 17 steps. And karma. You base your relation is karma, or your intention, your will, according to what you have seen or interpret. But if you have pure perception, without interpreting, without determining, you just see everything as universal substance. You're not indulging into it. Just see it as a phenomenon. So you end up with pure action, with no karma or kriya. And it turned out like your mind, I mentioned, doesn't have the opening of exposure outside, but it memorized. Like you went to Hawaii, at the moment you're in Hawaii, it lit up your brain like this. You love it, lit up the place and your brain. But when you come back a year later, when you think of it, this is actual, this is virtual. When you think of it, it lit up the same place, as almost as strong. That's how you get into trouble with the thoughts, right? Next thing you know, you make a booking reservation, go back to Hawaii. They know that. That's why there's a lot of PR, they show a lot of food. My patients had gastric cancer. But this is horrible. I can't eat. They show food, you know how many times? 6 times an hour. I can't eat. So this is how you end up with doing nothing, but you thought of sneaky thought to treat as a delusion. You end up with this craving. So the Buddha said to this guy, Kaya, to see, just see. Exposed to this feeling. Hear, just hear. Perceive, just perceive through eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. As sight, sound, smell, taste, touch. To realize, just realize. It's pure exposure, pure perception. You should understand and practice as such. See, just see, reiterate. See, just see, hear, just hear. Perceive as sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, or thoughts as such. And realize, just realize. Just such moment, so-called you, will no longer exist. There's no ego, no self, no biased perception. Whenever there is no you, at such moment, you will neither exist in this realm, next realm, or between those realms. Voila. That's the end of suffering. That's so simple like that. And the guy was fully enlightened with those words. Many of you raise your hand. What is that? That's the Fourth Noble Truth, isn't it? And the Third Noble Truth. To see, just see, pure perception, pure feeling, end of suffering. So Buddhism emphasizes a lot at feeling, at perception, pure perception, sixth sense sphere. You can read about book, I think 17, 18 of the 45, the whole thing is about the 5 skandha, sixth sense sphere, and so on. In those 2 volumes, the whole book. So you see impermanence, imperfection, selflessness. And you see, when you're selfless, no self, no suffering. So now it's going to, you can feel through this body movement too, okay? Just this one do with your eye open, okay? So hopefully you won't fall asleep. You can do this self-awareness. Circle your finger a little bit. You feel that? We all have this. How come we neglect it? Open and close. Sense that? Touch the tip of your fingers. That's self-awareness. Self-awareness. Pure perception. Self-awareness. No space for thoughts. I let you say, what do you want me to do this for? See, that's thought. Okay, pure perception. We all have this. So let's put your palm on your thigh. Feel your right palm up, be aware. Bring your hand up, aware. Down to your tummy, aware. Same thing, your left palm. Slide your right palm up. Bring it out, bring it down, turn it down. That's one cycle. Do it at your own pace. So everything has to go through the body first. You're good at it, you can look at your mind directly. And through this body, you feel it. You feel the air that hits the cool breeze from the AC, hit your body, or hit your hand. Your hand wave through the air, you feel that? Normally you don't feel that. Unless you pay attention, you're aware of it. We all have this. Largest sense organ in the body, 1.73 square meters. All the pediatricians know that. Internists know that. Because you have to calculate medicine according to a square meter. How big is this kid? So do at your own pace. Do it with your eye open. You can look down, a meter in front of you. You feel. How do you feel? Feel externally. Just like a body. Feel externally. Feel externally, like at the physical level. Comfort, discomfort. After waving the hand for a little while, you get a little fatigue. Your joint pain will be a little tough. You can feel the pain too. So just feel that externally. Internally, you sense it as happiness, unhappiness, or neutral feeling. Externally, you feel as comfort or discomfort. So interchangeable. From comfort become discomfort, make you unhappy, and back to neutral feeling and happiness again. Like I said, set your mind with joy, so it leads to the bliss, lead to calmness, happiness, conducive for a steady mind to arise. If you practice like this, and you see the arising and ceasing of the feelings. Feeling is very fleeting. Arising, you feel the wind, they hit your body, cool air. After you work on it for a while, energize it. If your body heat, might be a little bit more discomfort, settle in. So experience such feelings. And feeling is there that can acknowledge, be mindful, aware, observe, and see feeling is fleeting. Feeling is but feelings. No person, no being, no self, and not truly yours or mine. It's impermanent, imperfect, and selfless in nature. Not worth clinging to. So you practice like this, end up with your craving and concepts, not clinging to the conceptual world, not clinging to anything in this world. So being about your feeling at your feelings. Same thing with the mind and mental plan. You can practice like this. Or you can do it with the Ubakin way, like Reverend Dhammaji will show you. The body scanning technique, and also very good at feelings. But this one, they can just feel the way. And when you move all day long, you just keep on doing it. Don't do it in public like this, okay? That's when you're crazy. Just circle your finger. Okay, do it at your own pace while I'm talking. And then I'll show you a little bit more. I think I have 5 more minutes because they run a little late. You can stand and do the same thing. Stand up. Now stretching a little bit. You feel the body? Yeah, you can do the same thing. When you stand. When you go to bed, you do the same way. Fall asleep mindfully and wake up mindfully. This is called self-awareness technique. The Buddha described as aware when you're stepping forward or backward. Like you go to the airport restroom. You have to be very careful backward. Back up, don't hit the toilet bowl. You have a luggage and backpack where you should have put it. So, aware when you look ahead or sideways. Aware when you stretch and bend like you're doing now. Aware when you get dressed. You do that at least twice a day. Get dressed. Aware when you eat, drink, chew food, taste food. Like John Kabat-Zinn used that in his class. Just to use a raisin that can chew, aware of it, taste, not to swallow, just aware of it. You later on you swallow. So aware when you urinate, defecate. So by every aspect of life. Aware when you walk, stand, sit, or go to sleep, or laying down. So it covers the four major postures. Walking, standing, sitting, laying down. Aware when you wake up, aware when you talk, aware when you remain silent. Those are self-awareness techniques, or subtle movement. So you keep on working like this, and then you gain those insights from doing this kind of thing. You see that things are impermanent, imperfect, and selfless. Not worth clinging to. Every time you cling to it, it becomes your own burden. So mind gets smarter and disenchant, discern, and liberate in such a way. So since there's no space, you can just walk stationary and you can feel that. Don't fixate your mind at the hands or the foot. Just simply know the movement and observe body, feeling, mind, mental phenomena. So you can go out and walk like this, no one's going to know. I have space, I'll show you. So no one knows I'm meditating. Okay? So when you're bad, just reboot yourself by doing that. And then laying down the same way as standing. Okay, I think I'm just Don to do the next one. Thank you for your attention.